The first warning arrived nailed to a gate that did not belong to them. Bright paper, block letters, a deadline, a fine that climbed by the day. The land beyond stretched for miles, quiet and black under the sinking sun, yet someone had decided it was already theirs to police. Then the real shock hit. Fresh tire tracks, a lit window deep inside the property, and the unmistakable outline of a playset where no home was supposed to exist. The air felt suddenly crowded, as if the land had been occupied by confidence instead of fences. Evan Mercer had never chased fantasies, he chased solvable problems. He fixed machinery for a living, saved aggressively, and spent weekends scrolling county auction listings the way other people watched sports. When a forgotten parcel came up, 200 acres with back taxes and a tangled history, he expected brush, dumping, maybe an old shed. The price was almost insulting, $2,000 plus fees plus patience. He bought it for the same reason he bought broken equipment. The numbers made sense if he did the work. The property sat behind a newer neighborhood that looked out of place against the rural sprawl. Identical mailboxes, trimmed lawns, street lamps too bright for the country. The HOA signs promised order and standards. Evan barely noticed. His land was outside their gates, on paper and in his mind. The first week, he walked the perimeter and found small details that tightened his stomach. A mowed strip cutting into the brush, a neat trash bin tucked behind pines, and a gravel path worn like it had been used for years. The land didn't look abandoned, it looked managed by someone who didn't own it. Evan photographed everything, then went home and slept lightly, mind replaying those tire tracks like a ticking clock. Evan started with the basics: survey, markers, photos, paperwork organized in a folder thick enough to feel like armor. The survey team barely made it a day before the first interference. Stakes pulled, ribbon cut, and tire marks circling the flagged corners like a warning. The next morning, a laminated notice appeared on a tree accusing him of violations for placing markers and disturbing protected space. It was absurd on its face, but it was printed like authority and timed like intimidation. Then the fines began stacking up with mechanical speed. Another notice claimed unapproved clearing, despite Evan touching nothing but survey tape. A third alleged improper parking because his truck had been left near a dirt access point for less than an hour. The HOA's private security truck started appearing at the edge of the woods, idling, watching, leaving deep ruts that were somehow blamed on him. Each new paper felt designed to make him hesitate, and each hesitation seemed to invite the next escalation. When Evan installed a simple chain and lock on an old farm gate, it was removed within 48 hours. The lock vanished. The chain was cut and neatly coiled on the ground like a taunt. He replaced it with a heavier one and added a trail camera. The next day, the camera was gone too, ripped clean off the mount. The pressure shifted from nuisance to threat when a certified envelope arrived stating the HOA intended to file a lien for unpaid fines and recover access rights claimed as historically enjoyed by resident members. Evan read it twice, feeling the logic bend in on itself. Access rights. Resident members. On land he had legally purchased? That evening, he followed the gravel path deeper than before. Past the trees, past the brush line, he found the source of the lights. A lived-in trailer set on blocks, a small fenced run for dogs, and a freshly painted porch. It looked established, cared for, permanent. It was sitting inside his boundary, like it had been placed there on purpose.
Evan stopped playing defense and turned the situation into a paper trail too heavy to ignore. He filed an official trespass notice through the county, requested enforcement guidance from the sheriff's office, and pulled every recorded plat, easement, and covenant tied to the neighborhood. The deeper he dug, the uglier it got. A community map the HOA had been circulating showed a chunk of Evans' acreage shaded as common space, as if a highlighter could rewrite a deed. In the county archive, that map existed only as an attachment, never recorded, never approved, never surveyed. It was a fantasy document dressed up as authority. Evans' title history was clean. The HOA's claim was not. He collected aerial images from prior years, publicly available, time-stamped, undeniable. The trailer had arrived recently. The gravel path had been cut in stages, widening month by month, as if someone felt increasingly untouchable. He gathered contractor receipts that had been carelessly left in a dumpster near the neighborhood gate, showing deliveries ordered to common area lot numbers that did not exist outside HOA paperwork. Everything converged at a county hearing meant to address the lien threat. Evans' evidence landed like a dropped engine block. The lien paperwork was flagged for misrepresentation. The access argument collapsed under the survey pins and the county's own maps. The room's attention shifted away from Evan and toward the HOA's filings, their signatures, their creative geography. The power changed hands in a single beat. What had been framed as an owner refusing to comply became an organization attempting to seize land through intimidation and false documents. Within days, consequences arrived with a steadiness that felt almost quiet compared to the chaos that preceded it. The county issued formal warnings against the HOA for filing an improper lien and referring to unrecorded covenants as enforceable authority. The sheriff's office posted the trespass notice at the access point and documented the cut locks and stolen camera as part of an ongoing report. Evan hired a fencing crew and built a clean, legal boundary that followed the survey precisely. No spikes, no theatrics, just posts sunk deep and wire pulled tight, a line that turned arguments into geography. The crew worked fast, and every time the security truck rolled up, it stopped farther away than before. The trailer occupants were given a timeline to vacate and remove personal property. The county treated it as an encroachment, not a neighborhood arrangement. The removal happened in pieces, vehicles first, then the porch, then panels stacked like surrendered shields. Months later, the neighborhood still looked polished from the street, but its sense of invincibility had cracked. The HOA revised enforcement practices near boundary lines. A few board seats turned over quickly, less from sudden ethics than from fear of liability. Evan's life changed in smaller, more permanent ways. He stopped assuming official-looking paper meant truth. He kept a dedicated binder for everything, surveys, photos, certified mail receipts, because he had learned how quickly reality could be challenged by someone with a printer and confidence. And on certain evenings, when he walked the fence and watched the grass slowly erase the last scars, one question kept returning. If someone tried to find you off your own land, would you fight it, document it, or walk away? And what would you do first? Tell it in the comments.